Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Got a Case of Wanderlust podcast, a show dedicated to all things travel. I'm your host, Lydia, and on this episode, you'll hear a conversation between me and another fellow traveler that will hopefully inspire you for your next travel adventure. If you enjoy listening, consider following the show and giving it a rating on Spotify, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leave a quick review. It would mean so much to me. All right, thank you so much for being here today. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Got a Case of Wanderlust podcast. I'm your host, Lydia. Today we have a special guest. Her name is Lelia, all the way from Quebec, Canada. So welcome to the show, Lelia.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on today. So, first of all, I want to kind of get to know how you got into the travel community. What sparked your wanderlust?
Oh my God. I started to travel, well, when I got in Quebec, like 8 years ago, when I came here to study, and I wanted to discover Quebec and Canada, and that's how I got into travel. So, yes, that's a short story, but that's how I got into travel. And I went through Canada, and now I'm traveling in Europe, and I love doing that also with my friends. So yeah, and I would like so much to travel for my life, like having a job in this. That would be
My
so nice.
Me as well. So how did you end up in Quebec in the first place? Why did you move from France to Canada?
This is actually a funny story. For I think it's called undergrad in university.
Yeah.
For the last year, I really wanted to do it in a foreign country. But at the time, I couldn't speak English. I think you can hear that. Um, and all the countries that speak French were too close to France. So the last country that speak French, well, it's not a country, but it's Quebec. So that's how I ended up in Quebec. And I really fell in love with the city and the province and the country. So yeah, now it's been 8 years and I was supposed to stay only 6 months.
Wow. I love that. Like moving as far away as possible from your hometown. That sounds exactly like something I want to do right now.
I can understand. It's such an amazing experience. Like if you can do it, I recommend it to you.
Yeah, so what was the biggest challenge, would you say, before doing it? Like, was it before, like once you got there, and did you have any like nerves beforehand?
uh oh, I think before leaving, I was fine. I was like, yay, I'm gonna live my best life. But it was once I got there that it got difficult because you're not here only to travel. You're here especially for university, unfortunately. Um, and when you move to another country, you want to have friends. And I think that was the most difficult part, making friends in a new country. I know we speak the same language, but it's actually not the same culture. So I think that was the hardest part for me. But once you get to know people in Quebec, um, it actually got better, but it took me years to be honest. So that was the most difficult part, but also being far away from my family and my friends in France. Uh, yeah, that part also was hard, but I realized it only a year later. Like I stayed my first year in Quebec, I stayed the whole year in Quebec, and when I got back in France, that's when I realized that I was missing them. And I didn't want to go back in Quebec, but once I got back, I got back in my routines and everything, so it went better. But yeah, that's the two hardest thing: making friends and missing family and friends.
Yeah, like the relationship part of the aspect of moving abroad, I can imagine is probably the most challenging. So, how did you find community? Were there groups that you joined, or did it just happen naturally as you lived somewhere for a long time?
Uh, kind of both. Um, actually in class, we had to have groups, work groups, study groups. And this is how I met most of my friends. It's because we had to get together to for university work. Um, I got so lucky because it's not everybody that gets such amazing people in their groups. But also, I decided that to have friends, I had to go to the people. And back then, I was swimming, so I went for the artistic swimming team, and this is how I met more people. I'm not friends with them anymore, but it helps. I'm really sorry for my English, but it helped me back then to feel more connected to people. So yeah, sports and university are the best thing. Um, I would like to say going out, but I'm not a huge fan of going out, and that wasn't an easy way to make friends. Yeah, no, not for me. But some people likes to make friends by going out. Um, I actually know a friend that um, I don't know if you know this app. It's called Bumble, and you can make friends on the app. And she got so many friends like this, and I was so surprised. But this is another way to make friends abroad.
Okay, yeah, Bumble's definitely a thing here in the US. I
Oh
know a lot of people use dating sites to just connect platonically with other people.
yeah.
Um, and also your English is fine. You don't even have to apologize. Like your
Oh, thank
English
you.
is better than most people in the United States like trying to speak a second language. So
Oh wow. Oh, thank you. It means so much to me because I learned it like 5 years ago.
that is really impressive that you're at this level because take it from someone who studied Spanish for 6 years. I'm still at like a beginner, like A2 level.
Oh well, thank you. I'm gonna take it. But learning a new language is not easy.
It's not. It's incredibly difficult, and
Oh, really?
I really just wish everyone would try to learn a second language so we could like have empathy for people whose English is not their first language.
Oh, yeah, I can understand. Yeah, but it's true that English is the way of connecting with people because today I think everybody can speak English, like most of the world. So I get it, but also English, it's yeah, the easiest way to connect with people for me.
Right. I do think that if you are a native English speaker, it's not like you have much incentive to learn a second language.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's definitely a privilege that we have to acknowledge. But
Mm.
as far as living in Quebec, which is like the French part of Canada, if I'm not mistaken, do
No.
you are you able to use French a lot? Like how
Oh,
like
yeah.
ingrained is like the French culture in Quebec, or specifically, like Montreal is like the French city, right?
Yeah, yeah. Um, I use French every day, except at my work where I speak English most of the time, which is surprising. But yeah, French all of the time. And I don't want Quebec people to go after me. So I'm going to say things from my perspective. Um, so it depends where in the province. I know that in the city of Quebec, most of the people speak French. The French language and not the French culture, but the French from Quebec culture is really important to them. Montreal, it's something else. Like they speak French, but there is so many communities in Montreal that they mostly speak English. There's people from all around the world in Montreal. So yeah, that's why they speak English. But well, the French in Montreal are really big defenders of the French culture in Quebec. Yeah.
Okay. And like as far as the biggest difference, like what would you say would be the biggest difference between living there and living in France?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, like I said earlier, like the people, it's not the same culture. It's the same, but at the same time, not the same. Um, and it's just little things that change. Okay, I'm gonna sound mean, but it's not mean. It's just a fact. For example, I think that in Quebec, people they're not selfish, but they're more. I don't know how to explain it. It's really hard.
Like,
Um,
are they more willing to help you out or something? They're more like friendly?
oh, they're really nice. Like, oh, they're so nice, but they don't speak their minds. The French are really. They're known for
Oh,
being
okay.
honest and
Yeah,
direct, and
I know what you mean. Yes.
yeah, and in
They're more
Quebec people are
confrontational.
gonna be, yeah, they don't like confrontation, and it's really weird for someone like me because I really like to be honest. I mean, there's differences between being honest and being mean honest. I think you can be honest and say whatever you think, but not being mean about it. Uh,
Definitely.
but I think people in Quebec they don't like it, so they're gonna turn around the subject for a really long time before saying whatever they want to say. um, so I think this is like the biggest difference, and yeah, I had a hard time with it, but I didn't change myself. I'm still honest, and people have to deal with it. um, yeah, that was the biggest change. Also, the food. I'm really sorry, people in Quebec, but the food in France is really good. Yeah, this is the food in Quebec is really like North America. Um, I'm gonna say fries and hamburgers and everything. The poutine. Okay.
Really? Okay, so it's
Um,
like more Americanized, you're saying?
yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
When I go grocery shopping, there's a lot of things that I can't find that I could have in France. But I just want to say that even it's not a complaint. I really like the difference and I'm making the most of it. But yeah, that's kind of different about the food. But
Mm.
I have to give that to Quebec people. The poutine is really good.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I would think it's been 8 years now, so I think there's some things that I might be missing. But for me, it was like the biggest things, like the biggest difference between France and Quebec.
Right. Well, yeah, intercultural communication is such a like touchy subject, I guess, because
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's so variable between different countries or even different like regions of the country you're in.
Oh really? Oh, like at first when I came here, I was so afraid to say a joke because I was like, oh, I don't know if they're gonna take it well. Like, it could be in France or would they take it wrong? Uh, but I was fine. I could tell jokes every time. But yeah, I was worried. Uh, yeah, because it's not the same culture. It's kind of weird because yeah, it's not the same culture, but it's the same at the same time. But yeah, I didn't want to um, annoy people,
Yeah, and right.
make them angry at me. So yeah,
Like
I
you didn't want
was
to offend anyone.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe at first I turned around the subject a bit.
Do you find that there's like have you traveled throughout other parts of Canada? Like are there regional differences in communication depending on where you go in Canada, or is Canada pretty consistent?
Oh, I would say I did mostly Quebec. I went in Ontario and I went in Alberta, which is a bit in the west of, actually, it's in the west of Canada, but I didn't see that big differences. But at the same time, I didn't travel for a really long time over there. I think the longest travel was 10 days,
Okay.
and I was by myself, so I didn't really like talk to the people over there because I was in hostels, so I was meeting mostly like international people. So I didn't really see a lot of differences.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not that much.
Okay. And then living in Quebec then for 8 years, what's your favorite thing about living where you are?
Oh, oh, I don't know what to choose.
Just say like
Well,
whatever comes to mind.
definitely the people and the landscape, like the like everything, like the forest and the national parks here are so beautiful. And oh my god, I love snow so much. Like I love winter here. It's one of my favorite things, and that's what comes at the top of my mind. But also because I'm close to a lot of places uh, in Quebec, like in the province. I'm really at the place where I can travel a bit everywhere in the province, so that's perfect. But probably the first one is winter, which which is a bit crazy for people in Quebec.
Yeah, I would say that's crazy for most people. I think the majority of people prefer warmer summer weather or just the summer season.
Oh,
So
for sure.
I feel like yeah, that's kind of a uncommon answer. But
Oh,
what about
yeah.
Canadian winters makes it so special?
I don't know. Well, in France, I was living in a place where we didn't have snow. Like we had snow, but once every 10 years, something like this. So yeah, for me, snow is really special. And it's true that people prefer like summer weather. Uh, I know that every year, sorry, when the first snow is coming, everybody is like, "Oh, winter again." And I'm the only one at the window looking at the snow. I'm like, "Oh, it's so beautiful." So yeah, that's why I love winter. And you can make snowmen, and then you can. I just learned how to skate on the ice, and I'm so excited for this.
Ooh,
So yeah, I can learn new sports. Learn new sports.
yeah. Okay. I'm sure you get a lot of good winter sports out there like snowboarding, skiing, ice
Yeah.
skating, sledding, all of it.
Oh yeah.
Winter could
Well,
winter could be a good time if you make it
I
that.
really, really, but unfortunately, not before this year. I didn't try anything, but this year I took a. I was brave and I tried ice skating, which
And
I'm really
is it
proud.
like on a real lake, you mean?
No, not in Quebec.
Okay.
Well, in the city of Quebec, there's some places they just put water on the floor and it freeze, and this
Okay,
is
yeah.
your. But the river in Quebec, the water is going too fast to freeze,
Mm,
so we can't go on it. It's too dangerous.
okay, yeah. You probably wouldn't want to go on it if it's still flowing.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And then as far as like moving to a different place, I mean, you're kind of an expert at it, I guess, at this point, living somewhere you weren't born in or like raised in for 8 years. So, what advice would you give to someone looking to move abroad, like for the first time on their own?
Mm, well, I think my experience it's mostly with the university. Um, so I'm gonna talk for students that want to live abroad. But usually the universities that have foreign students, they have so much for them. They have groups. Okay, I don't like this, but there was French groups in my university, which I find it a bit sad because if you want to go abroad, why do you want to stay with the people that have the same culture in the same language? Just explore out there. Don't stay with the the people of your country. Um, that's my advice. I'm sorry. But yeah, they have groups to help you. Go explore the city and look at the bus. The bus will help you a lot to go through everything. Um, and I don't remember most of it. I think I mostly panicked when I got there. Um, but yeah, that's what I did. I forgot the word. Um, when I got here, I was on a list to do the tour of the old Quebec, and I was with a group of foreign students, so I had to meet people. And this is your way through living abroad, meeting people. Um, and yeah, explore. Look at the sport in university and everything. Um, there's not a magic trick, unfortunately.
Yeah, you just gotta do it.
Yeah. You have to dive in.
Yeah,
But
believe in
it's
yourself, believe that things will work out.
really it's scary, but do it scared. It's always nice.
Do it scared.
Yeah, that's my thing. If I'm scared to do something, I'm just gonna do it scared because I don't want to miss on something and regret it later. Um, I I I did a lot of this, like being scared and say, "Oh, that's okay if I don't do it," and later I would regret it. So now I'm just doing it scared, and mostly it's fun. I can make mistakes, and I'm gonna laugh at myself. So do it scared.
Yeah, that I think that's amazing advice for in general for life.
Oh,
And
thank you.
then yeah, for like my last three questions,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you three kind of like rapid fire, if you will. The first one is, what is a special place in your heart that you've traveled to besides Quebec?
Oh, okay. It's a tough question. um, I would probably say Alberta. Um, that was my first solo travel, and this travel has a special place in my heart, and the landscape here is amazing. I like to hike, and it's one of the best places I went hiking. So, yeah, I would say Alberta, definitely.
Okay. And then second question is, what is a memorable meal that you've had when traveling somewhere new?
Mm, I love eating. So, I would like to say every meal, but wait, I'm going to think about one. Um, I would probably say in Roma. That was my first travel without my parents, and my I was with my friends. And oh, the pizza over there is so good, and the tiramisu, delicious. So I would probably say in Roma, yeah.
Mm. I'm like, I've been on a pizza craving streak lately, and yeah, I want to go to Italy so bad just for that, just for the pizza.
Oh yeah, the pizza, the pasta, and they have such good food over there.
Yes, like I think Italian's probably the most popular cuisine in the world, no?
Oh, probably.
Probably.
Oh, and don't forget the ice cream.
Oh yeah, the like gelato, yes.
Oh yeah, I think I went to all the ice cream shop I saw in Roma. I
Oh God, I
I
love that.
that was so good. I'm still doing it in Quebec. When I saw an ice cream shop, I'm just going in. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have all the ice cream here. I don't care how much I pay. Just take my money.
That's me, but with like bakeries.
Oh, what's your favorite bakery?
Um, the best one probably is in between like when I was in Paris or Copenhagen, surprisingly.
Mm.
Copenhagen had an amazing bakery scene, surprisingly.
Oh wow, I really want to go there.
Yeah, it's an amazing city. It's pricey, but definitely overall worth it if you're visiting for, short term.
Oh, okay. Well, I put it on my list. Really long list,
Yes.
but still put it on it.
Right? And then speaking of long lists, what would be your dream destination? Like one place that you have to see like eventually in this lifetime?
Oof. Okay, which one is on the top of my list? I would probably say it's a basic answer, but I would probably say New Zealand.
Mm,
Like the
okay.
yeah, the landscape there is really beautiful. Well, I just saw pictures, but it seems so beautiful. And I mean, Lord of the Rings, and I'm a huge fan of Narnia, and I know it was filmed there. So yeah, New Zealand, but probably like Japan and or South Korea. I would like
Mm,
to discover like a new culture, like something really different from
yeah.
where I'm living. That would be amazing, and the new food and
And the
like
food.
I mean, obviously. I
Always
think when
comes
I
back to
travel, it's the
food.
first thing I'm looking.
Okay, you and me have to travel together because I'm the exact same.
Oh, okay. I take you on it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Lelia. It was so nice chatting with you, and thank you for being on the show.
Oh, well, thank you to accept having me on your show. That was really nice. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for listening to the Got a Case of Wanderlust podcast. Again, my name is Lydia, and you could find me on social media in the About section of this podcast. Please rate and review if you found value or insight from this, and I hope to see you in the next episode.